Hello and welcome back to Fair Life with Andrew McKee. I am, if I can remember correctly, Andrew McKee. It has been a crazy weekend, a tiring one. You know, it really makes me wonder, who was the dumbass who came up with the idea of doing Fair Life on Mondays, really? Oh yeah, that was me. I really should. I don't know. It's really the day after a long weekend. Fairlife, it's really tough sometimes to try to get the show together. I do my best, but thanks for all showing up. I really appreciate it. And Jan and Damaris and Kevin and Chris and Kathy. Hey, yeah, it was a bit of a rainy weekend here and there. Not full out the entire time, but just spots here and there, which in some ways is worse because you kind of get a rest for a little while and then boom, it comes back on and you're never sure when it's going to happen. So it really tires you out. And I know there was a decent crowd on Saturday, less of one on Sunday, but it was still a very tiring day. Draining, I think is how I would put it. The humidity was very high. Heat wasn't too bad, but still warm. And yeah, I mean, I know all of you understand what I'm talking about and have been through that kind of day. It is not always easy, very much. But yeah, I made it through and all is well. Now, of course, we get to we get to do what I usually refer to as Hell Week. I mean, it is a lot of fun, but it is a crazy week here at Louisiana. What they do is they have school days or student days. And they go through the first week, and then the second week, you have student days on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 3 days of student days, of which I'm doing all of them. So I do the weekend, I get Monday off, like today, and then I'm at Faire tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, get Friday off, and then Saturday and Sunday I'm at Faire again. And what that amounts to is 9 straight days, 7 of them are at Faire. So it is a tiring week. We're going to see how well next Monday, I'm going to do my gosh darndest to be here. And you can see how totally drained and wiped I am, but I'm going to give it my best shot because yeah, if I can be functional and conscious there, then I know I'm good. Then I have no room to complain ever again because that is probably the toughest Monday I will do by far. Right. As long as it's not indecent crowds. Well, I mean, you always get the occasional bit of indecency, but you try. Zombie runnies, yeah, that's true. You do get there sometimes, definitely true. It has hey, hello, Harvey, and great to see you. It was definitely interesting. I told you before that I am in charge of sound out at the Louisiana Run Fair, and it's definitely more work than I was expecting. Always is, but I did a lot the first weekend and got that kind of all straightened out, so it wasn't too bad. But it took a lot of time, and then this weekend I didn't have to do as much, but then of course the rain didn't really help, and there weren't as many people, so I spent a little extra time going around to make sure all the sound and everything was going okay with the weather. So I was trying to be a little dutiful. And but yeah, I think it's pretty much taken care of. I've got a few things to do this week, but generally the sound is all good and set up, and everybody seems pretty happy. I mean, honestly, you don't see that very much at fairs, where you have somebody dedicated to just making sure the sound at all the stages is good. I mean, usually it's somebody who's doing a lot of other things, and they don't really put much. I mean, that before Faire they do it, and then you're on your own. The acts kind of go to the stage, and they have to make the best of it and set it up. And I've been that act before, so I've tried very hard to make sure that everybody has the cables they need. Anything that's not working, let's see what we can do and work around it and fix it. So, yes. Oh, that's good. Yeah, definitely the vitamins. I realized Saturday I didn't eat a good big enough lunch, so Sunday I took care of that and ate better, and that helped a bit. But yeah, definitely taking the vitamins. Not gonna lie. Students, think of it like kind of like a field trip day. and how they do it at Louisiana, and I mean, some fairs do it, some fairs don't, and there's not. Sometimes they do it all on one day. Louisiana's been one of the most aggressive with doing student days. I mean, they do 3 different student days: the one for elementary, one for junior high, and one for high school. And if for some reason a junior high can't make it on that particular day, they can go with one of the others. But it generally falls that way. And think of it like a field trip. They just come out and get to experience sort of it's not exactly everything that you would see at a Ren Fair, of course. I mean, of course, they don't serve alcohol, and it doesn't have all the food isn't quite available. All the music, all the performers. I mean, they're not all there. Some of them are. I mean, think of it kind of like a mini fair in a way. I mean, that's not exactly fair to say it that way, but it's kind of true. And the merchants are available, and a lot of them anyway, open up, and kids can come in, chaperoned by teachers and parents, and get to learn a little bit more. It's certainly more educational, and teach them a little bit about history of the time period, our instruments, what we do. And generally the acts that are booked to be there for student days are the more historical ones, at least in some way, or sometimes just the more entertaining that can entertain the kids. But that's generally it. It's a short day. It goes from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. is when it technically opens, the gates open, so an hour earlier than normal, till 2 p.m. because the kids have to get back to the school so they can be picked up or ride the bus home or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's not a full day, but it definitely is an active one. And the numbers of kids, even back 15 years ago at the fair, was a lot. They were very aggressive with it and would go with school districts all over Louisiana, Mississippi, even Alabama and Florida a little bit sometimes. You see them coming from afar off, and it's considered a pretty good field trip. I mean, they come out and enjoy it and have a good time. And sometimes they just spend a few hours out there, but usually the teachers come out with sometimes sheets and worksheets that the kids have to kind of answer questions to and try to fill out as they go around and talk to us throughout the day. So it's not bad. It's not bad. You're not wrong. That's actually a really good point, Damaris. Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know if they knew that starting out, but they realized that it was very good promotion, and not just for coming to the fair later, but it's actually surprising how many members of the cast at the Louisiana Fair and other fairs started out as a kid from school days, from going out like that. I mean, they get the bug early, and yeah, they want to be a part of it. But yes, kind of that introduction to fair. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of fun, and I'll be honest, there's 2 routes. I mean, the teachers can be very, stay with the kids all the time and say, come with me, and be very chaperoned and follow the schedule and see the different groups and learn the history, and it can be very educational. Or, especially with some of the high school kids, they'll come over and they'll just kind of the chaperones will kind of be there, but it's like, okay, be back here in an hour. And they'll do it. I mean, they're high school kids, so they'll just do that, and they'll go off and get a turkey leg and relax and see a show, and it's see the joust. And it's not, I think it's one of those things where if you want to get a lot out of it historically and learn, you can. But if that's not really your jam, you don't have to. And honestly, I think that's a smart way to do it, because not everybody's the same. Sometimes just learning a few tidbits of history is enough for people. And I get that. Viking horde in training. I like that, Lisa. That's funny. Yes, very good point. Yes, a bit like that. Definitely a bit like that. Well, the other thing I've been kind of working on is I've been arranging music for the end of day jam. What happens is that we started doing a pub sing the last year, and we went back to doing an end of day jam with the musicians at the front gate this year, and I'm glad they did. I really enjoy it because we all just kind of play music and have fun. And we had a few new musicians or newer musicians that didn't quite know all the tunes we were playing, so I just volunteered to say, hey, I'll go ahead and put the sheet music together and get it together for you. And I've been working on that, so that's been kind of interesting because I not only have to try to come up with an arrangement that is what we play, but also a bit on the easier side so that somebody can learn it and join in quickly. That's kind of the thing. So yeah, it's been it's been a busy week for sure. Yes. End of day at front gate. Yes, I love that too. It is generally think of it as starts at 4:30. The fair ends at 5. So as you're kind of leaving the fair, you to your left as you're exiting, you see a huge group of musicians all just playing tunes and singing songs with a huge cacophony. You can hang out and listen and sing along or just watch for a while. The Queen usually shows up at some point during the middle, and sometimes people dance, but you can hang out and watch or just enjoy it as exit music. I mean, you have the option, and I've always liked it. It's I like the idea of when people enter the fair, they hear music and feel like they're transported to that magical place, and then when they leave, they hear music and feel like they're that's the last thing that goes through their mind, that experience. I really like that. So I've always tried to do that. At school days, one thing I do, and honestly, nobody ever asked me to do this. This is just something I've done, and they seem to like it and appreciate it, so I've kept doing it, is I'll go out and play music for the kids who are waiting, and the parents. Actually, it's usually parents who are waiting before the gate opens. And then as the kids enter, and it usually takes them hours, because group after group of kids come in, and I'll just play at the gate as they enter, so that as groups are getting together and kids are checking their tickets and doing all that stuff, they have something to listen to and be entertained by. Because I learned a long time ago, waiting for the gates to open can be very boring at some fairs. It can be quite annoying too. So just having something to enjoy or experience makes all the difference. So I've always tried to do that. Right, dancing. I'm along with Andrew. I like that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, Harvey. Yeah, that's you should be. I mean, that's you're doing great. He jumps in with a mandolin and plays with us, and that is true. We don't really mind if people want to jump in with a musical instrument and play along. I mean, as long as they don't try to overshadow or do it for the wrong reasons. But yeah, and you jump right in, and yeah, you just have fun with it, and it's that's always great. I mean, none of us are really the whole diva type. We just like to play music and jam and have fun, and if other people like to do that too, great, no problem. Yeah, that's always the tough part, because when you're a musician and you're not doing music at a fair, it almost feels like you're trapped. I think that's my attitude, so I understand. Tripping the fair, fantastic. Ooh, now that's a good CD title. Okay, I'm just writing that down because that's good. That is good. That's at the very least, I've got to use that for something. Right. Well, I mean, that's what set tunes normally are. We'll play a tune, and then we'll jump into another one that's in the same key and do that. So it's, yeah, always fun. Definitely always fun. Well, now the interesting thing, I'll tell you what, you get a free CD. I'll do that. If I use it for a CD, you'll get it. So yeah, let me make a note of that too. Okay. Okay. There you go. Boom. Made the note. All good. Well, free CD, I guess that's close to peanuts, so we'll go with that. But no, Let's see. I talked a little bit last week about, well, I guess a couple weeks ago, about how the numbers of fairs are kind of going down and down and down as the end of the year comes upon us. And oh yeah, we're hitting that again. This coming up weekend, we are down to 8 Ren fairs. Yeah, I mean, and a few of those last weekend or only weekend. So it's going to even get less. Now, though, end of November, beginning of December, we'll get a couple here and there that jump in for one weekend, but these numbers are just going to keep going down and down. So I will jump in and show you a little bit on that. You can, whoa, that's not right. Here we go. Boom. Okay, that's it. Huh. I was like, that's not the fair map. Okay, that's the fair map. Yes, you'll notice all the fairs are very, very southern. And some of those more northern ones, like the Delaware and the Maryland Fair a few weeks ago, they are done. And as the temperatures start to drop a little bit, and I know some of you down here where I am are probably thinking, yeah, I can't wait for the temperatures to drop, and I get it. But up north, they're starting to get that way, and sometimes cold fronts happen earlier. So the fair times, now it's all in the deep south. That's kind of where we are. Yeah, I mean so yeah, that's what's going to happen. I know, and then there were 8. Yes. Very Agatha Christie of us. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in and do the whole. Let's see, can I get the? Yeah, here we go. Yay! Okay, cool. Yes, got to get that laser pointer in. Always important. Okay. Starting out, we have the Carolina Renaissance Festival in Huntersville, North Carolina. That is the 7th weekend coming up out of 8. So just 2 more weekends left. And the theme is Time Travelers Weekend. So definitely more of a sci-fi theme going on. Jumping down to South Carolina, a state that doesn't usually have much in the way of fairs. You have the Mythical and Medieval Fest, and this has been going on for about 10 years now in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And this is the 2nd weekend out of 2, so this is its last weekend. Jumping down to Florida, we have the Sarasota Medieval Fair in Mayaca. Oh, I'm probably still saying this wrong. Mayaca City, Florida. And it is the middle of the road for that, the weekend 3 out of 5, and the theme is a good one, Celtic weekend. I might be biased, not going to lie. Jumping down to real deep Florida here, we have the Camelot Days Medieval Festival in Hollywood, Florida. Now, this is the 2nd out of 3 weekends, and this fair has been going on for a while. This has been going on for about a little over 20 years now, so it is an older fair, but because of the time frame that it goes in November, people don't hear about it too much. But it is the middle of it, the 2nd out of 3 weekends, and it has a theme, Legends of the Forest. So I'll give them credit. That is a more original theme, so always good to see that. Jumping over to Louisiana. Now, of course, a wondrously, phenomenally great fair. I totally unbiased opinion. It is great. Yes. But yeah, it is still not halfway through on that. And it is weekend 2 out of 6. Sorry, weekend 3 out of 6. Hello. And this is in Hammond, Louisiana. And the theme this weekend is Celtic weekend. So another good Celtic weekend theme. Always good. So, jumping over to Texas, we have the Whispering Grove Fair, last weekend of that, the 5th weekend, in Kirbyville, Texas. And yeah, that is, I'll be really curious to see how that fair turned out. If for 5 weekends for a small fair going opposite Texas Renaissance Festival, I'll be checking in and seeing, yeah, what the attendance was like and what people thought, because these fairs, that's really interesting. It was an interesting choice to do that, and it's far enough away. I think they could pull it off, but I'm curious if they did. It is interesting. Then going, of course, Texas Renaissance Festival, the classic, one of the largest in the country. easily. And this is the 6th out of 8 weekends, and it is Barbarian Invasion weekend. So definitely a popular one. And then going over to a very old Ren Fair, the Renaissance Arts Fair in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Now, it's just the one weekend, but this fair has been going on since 1972. I know. 53rd year, I think. Yes. And they still just do it one weekend. It's really fascinating. Some fairs have been going on for decades, yet they're content with 1 or 2 weekends and they have no plans on expanding. Where other fairs, they'll start out on 5 weekends. It's fascinating to see what people want to do and what they're happy with. But I'm not saying any one way's right and one way's wrong. It's just that's what makes Ren fairs interesting and fun, because one is not necessarily like another. So traveling to different Ren fairs is worth it, which is why I put this list up. Yeah. Oh, Celtic capers. I like that. That's funny. Now you're just trying, okay? You and your alliteration, but good stuff. Okay. Whew. Yeah. All right. So yeah, easy list this week. I love that, because sometimes when you're doing like 18 or 24 different Ren fairs and double checking to make sure all of the information is right, it's you start working and then a few hours later you get it finally done and the map completed and you're like, okay, now I guess I can go, probably should eat something before I go online and stream. But yeah, it can be a lot of work sometimes, but 8, no problem. That was so much easier. That's an interesting point. Yeah, fairs that have been in the family for 100 years. I mean, you're not wrong. Fairs, I mean, it's going to be an interesting dynamic of like companies that have been around forever. Like a Western Union kind of thing that's been around since 1800s. I mean, it's really wild. That will be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but that's okay. It will be interesting for sure. Fun to think about. Well, 7:21. We're actually making great time. I love the short fair lists. I thought about what to do for 7 reasons, and I realized I really enjoyed the Louisiana Fair. It is one of my favorites. Always has been. For the last 20 years, it has been one of my favorite fairs every year. Hands down, always have said that. And I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite, but it's close. I don't know if I have a favorite. It's a tough one. I like different fairs for different things, but it's certainly one of my favorites. Like the short list of 5 kind of thing, definitely. So I thought, let's do 7 reasons that ending the season at the Louisiana Fair is just perfect. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, I have 7 reasons here somewhere. Boom. Okay, there we go. So 7 reasons. And we'll start with number 7. The 7th reason why ending the season at Louisiana Fair is just perfect. So number 7 is New Orleans. Duh. I mean, come on. It's on the North Shore, so it's like 50 minutes away from New Orleans or so. But still, I mean, you're hanging out at Faire for 6 weeks, and in any week you want, you just shoot down to New Orleans, enjoy the great cuisine, the fun atmosphere. I mean, it's a large city with a lot of culture and a lot of history. And for some reason, I think most Rennies like history. I know. So yes, going to New Orleans and just the area in general is very fun and a lot. Like just, yeah, so good. Number 6, and this kind of continues on that. I know the area. I mean, I've been going here enough where I was just thinking today that I can actually drive around without having to think about where I'm going. I can kind of go on autopilot because I've been coming here year after year for so long. I'm like, oh, we're going here? Okay, boom, and just go. And it's great. I love that so much. It is just, it's so relaxing to feel at home. And after, traveling is interesting because you get to see new places, experiencing new things, but it's nice to have some place that you are comfortable with, and yeah, you just know the ins and outs of. Yeah, that's tough. And the going to New Orleans thing, I mean, yeah. A couple of years ago, I stayed I stayed down in New Orleans during Faire. It actually came to be a problem because I got blocked in where I couldn't get out of the driveway. Somebody blocked it in with their car trying to park illegally, and I couldn't leave that morning to get to Faire. So I had to call them and say, listen, I've called the city. They're sending a tow truck, but I might be a little late this morning. And I managed to make it okay. But yeah, it was that was rough. But then I will say during the week, just kind of saying, let's see. Do I want to just go hang out in the French Quarter? Sure. And that was nice. So definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it. Yes. Number 5, it is a larger mid-sized fair. I was just talking to one of the owners yesterday, as a matter of fact, about that, a few years ago, I was saying, yeah, this is a mid-sized fair now. It's not a small fair anymore. But they're kind of flirting now with the numbers of being a large fair. My view has always been that a large fair is when you start getting over 10,000 people on average consistently per day. Once you hit that, you're a large fair. I'm sorry, that's just those are decent numbers, and if you get that on average now, this fair, last year they hit 10,000 people on several days, and yeah, on average, I don't think they quite get there. So I don't think they're quite there, but they're really close. So yeah, I think that is really it's a large fair, and or very large mid-size fair, small large fair. I mean, however you look at it, but it's a good size. So they pretty much have most everything you would want at a fair. I mean, a lot of shops, a lot of food, a lot of entertainment, and a really nice place. The grounds and everything are just really relaxing and lovely. So always good. Yeah, I know, mid-size, that's kind of, you see, small fairs, I look at it as, I kind of think small fairs are anything below about 3,000 or so, 3,500 or so on average per day. When you're under that, you're kind of a small fair. But once you start getting, over that, I might even say 5,000, but somewhere in there on average, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd call you a small fair if you're bringing in thousands of people every day, even Sundays. And that's usually the test. If your Sundays are actually really good crowds, I don't think you're a small fair anymore. And that's the trick. And some of these fairs, they prefer to stay small. They want to, like I said, they want to stay one weekend, and they do it for years, and it's a small local event, and they don't really promote it too much outside. There are people that'll drive from the neighboring towns or counties or whatever and to come to it, but they like keeping it small, intimate, and friendly. But, I mean, it's each to his or her own. Well, yeah, but, I mean, that's a little bit of a different animal. And that's kind of like, that's a little weird because, I mean, you get 100,000 people in a day. You concentrate Norman is weird in that they just concentrate a whole fair season in like one weekend. It's almost lunacy. They treat it like it's like going to a football game and tailgating with everyone. I mean, it's that type of vibe. It's really weird. There is not another fair like Norman, and I think that's a fair thing to say. No pun intended. So I will give you that one, but that's very much an anomaly. And you get fairs like Texas Renaissance Festival or Minnesota or whatever, where you're getting for over 8 weekends, you're getting 500, 600, 700,000 people. I mean, it's, yeah, it's still, you're getting a lot more people, but it's spread out a little more, which is how it would be, because if you only have one weekend, everybody's going to go that weekend. Yeah, kind of, that's miniature Woodstock, kind of. No, I don't know if you're talking about me. Pun? No. That's not really my, it's not really part of my idiom. Anyway, going back to 7 Reasons, it's a lovely site, and I mentioned that before. It is just, it's so comforting and relaxing, and it has this sort of small lake in the middle. And some fairs are usually round, where you kind of go in a circle and kind of like a donut, with shops on each side of the path, and they do that. Other fairs are just windy roads where it's easy to get lost and you have no idea where you are. But this is kind of like the donut one, where it's a circle, but the center is a lake. And they have some windy roads off to the side in different areas, but that's sort of the center of the fair, and it has such a nice little charming aspect to it. And that's, yeah, it adds an extra level of scenic beauty that a lot of fairs can't capture. Yeah. Right. Yeah, definitely agree. It's a nice site. Time traveling is for visit more fairs. Right. That would be comforting. Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to see them all, but you try. And that I keep trying to book new places and try to see some new stuff. But next year should be interesting. I'm definitely going to be going to a few fairs I've never been before next year, so that will be fun. That will be a lot of fun. Number 3, top quality performers. No, okay, I know what you're thinking. I somehow managed to get into. So, but around me are great top quality performers. So they help me look good, just by association. And it's really nice. I mean, a lot of some of the best performers on the circuit are definitely at the fair, and that's always wonderful. I think part of it is because of the timing, where they go for a weekend or two longer than most other fairs. So there's not really much else going on. So some performers just really like the idea of closing out their fair season at this fair. So you get some really high quality performers because of that, and honestly also some great people. So it is so much fun, really good. I believe it was more of actually a quarry, a kind of a that was dug out, and then it just got filled with water. So it was one of those just things that was fortunate. So it works well. Definitely works well. Helps with drainage too. And we appreciate that. Oh, yes, we do. So do. Then let's go to number 2. Number 2. Not as cold as other fairs. It's so far south. And you also, it's not right next to the water or anything, but it's close enough where, I mean, it's going to be difficult for it to get really freezing down there. It can happen, but it would be really difficult for that. I mean, you're not going to see 10 degrees or 20 degrees really down there very often, if at all. It's going to be, you might get some snow, but it's rare to see that. And because of that, I mean, when it gets too cold, my fingers don't move as fast. So I like trying to stay above 40 degrees. 50 is kind of ideal. I'm at 100% at 50 degrees and up, but when it starts to get lower than that, going at 100% for the full day is tough, and borders on impossible. So yeah, I really like, generally I love the weather. I think that's for this late in the year, it's very, very good. Oh, well, I mean, it's not really a problem. I mean, generally the hurricanes, if they hit the area, they're going to come a lot earlier, late summer, early fall, and this starts in November. So it's usually a bit after hurricane season. Sometimes there'll be something, but it's usually not a problem. You aren't kidding. You are not kidding. And number one reason why ending the season at Louisiana Faire is just perfect for me is it's the only fair I work lanes. And what I mean by that is I don't have any stage shows. And that's really rare for me. Every other fair I work, I always have some stage shows, and then I'll go ahead and just play music in the lanes as people walk by and busk for that in my spare time, but I always have stage shows. And this one, I've just been hired to play lanes, and it is, it's different. And that different is nice. I mean, when you're doing this all year round or most of the year, having something that's a little special and mixes it up a little bit is fun. And it also has allowed me over the last several years to really try some things that would be difficult to try at other fairs, and try to challenge myself and learn a little bit and try some new stuff. Always good. And that's generally what I think most of us hope from life, to have new experiences and better ourselves. That's what you try to do. So always good. So anyway, that's my 7 reasons. Yay! All right. And I think that's my time. So 7:34, 7:33. So, yeah, it's 7:35. Not too bad. I'll take it. Always nice to have a short fair list. I love that. Always relaxing. So I'm going to continue on through Hell Week, and hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. And sometimes the kids are just so rewarding. I mean, they come in, have great questions sometimes, and just really want to learn. And so there's usually at least one kid in those 3 days where you're kind of like, I've influenced them. I mean, I've given them something to think about. I mean, maybe not change their life, but certainly change their outlook, where they might be thinking about music seriously. Maybe they're thinking about history seriously, or they're just learning more and they're curious. But regardless, you have some rewarding experiences, and that's always great. I love that, because, hey, I was that kid, so I appreciate it. So anyway, have a wondrous week, and I will see you next week with, I wanted to get some videos this past week, but it was a bit rainy, so I didn't do that and get you anything, and I'm sorry about that. I'm going to try hard to get you some videos from LARF for next week, so you can see a little bit and see a little bit about what the fair is about. Give you a little a little taste of Faire, if we will. And take care, have a great one, and I'll see you next week, because, well, as you go through, always have a fair life. Bye.